some eyebrows. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening to you. Nina Jankowicz has quite an online presence. In 2020, she spoke about then-President Trump and his frequent criticism of the media. She also said this about the potential for government to police free speech.
I would never want to see our executive branch have that sort of power. And that's why, the legislative process with our duly elected officials is really important, that sort of consultative rulemaking process. And we can't just govern by executive order anymore.
About a year later on social media, she posted she was the Mary Poppins of disinformation.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious.
And Brett, critics specifically point to her stance on the laptop once belonging to Hunter Biden. In 2020, she told the Associated Press in an interview, quote, "We should view it as a Trump campaign product." But White House officials say while the board itself is new, the effort is not. Disinformation efforts were well underway during the Trump years through cybersecurity and law enforcement partnerships. Stopping disinformation from Russia, China, even south of the border has been on the checklist for years.
There's no question, that bipartisan support for that, to address disinformation that's helping smugglers, helping people migrate, or providing false information, prompting people to migrate.
And Brett, we spoke to the General Counsel of NetChoice, a trade association that promotes free speech on the internet. He says just leave the policing to private companies.
I don't care who's in the seat, whether it's a Democrat or Republican. Anytime you hand over this power to the government, it's incredibly difficult to get it back, and it violates the core principles and tenets of this nation.
I mentioned the Department of Homeland Security has been fighting disinformation for years, but how is this specific board different? It's a fair question, one we've been asking for 2 days. We have not gotten one response, despite multiple tries from the Department of